terrible loss of life. On the first day of the training program, the trauma was obvious to the trained eye. The women communicated minimally among themselves and crossed their arms. Their entire body language communicated, "We are not here to make friends." Our team pressed on with the training and handed out the materials we had prepared. We didn't perform any miracles during those 5 days, but something clearly shifted in the women. Their body language began to communicate a different message. They were joyfully singing, clapping their hands, sitting with each other, and telling stories. They had moved to a place of freedom from their trauma. That's when I knew I would dedicate my life to helping women recover from trauma. My life's work would be to offer this kind of freedom to women all over the world. Something inside me had shifted too, and I mumbled a few private words in prayer. In your grace, God, please allow me to be a part of this work. An unexpected ministry. Soon after that trip, I transitioned out of my role at that church. But things didn't go quite the way I had planned. There were no obvious opportunities at the time for me to help women find hope and healing from trauma. I felt as if that private moment with God in Africa had never happened. I went through a bout of depression with no vision, no hope, no income, no purpose, and no women to minister to, or so I thought. During that season of waiting, something inside me said, there are women all over the world dealing with the impact of trauma in their lives. Find out where they are and work with them. It suddenly became quite clear that I should do two things: start a nonprofit organization, Elevate Her International Ministries, to help women heal from trauma, and volunteer in the women's unit at the Dallas jail. I had ministered in Haiti a half dozen times, as well as in India and Kenya, but never in a million years did I think I'd be ministering to imprisoned women in my own city. I had always heard horror stories about the prison system and violent and unruly people who had no respect for law and order. Though I was excited and willing to finally step into my calling, I was scared to death. My first visit to the facility was anxiety-producing. I parked in a neglected gravel lot across the street from the multi-story brown brick jail. Outside the facility were all kinds of people waiting on buses, people entering and leaving the facility, people who seemed to just be hanging around. Adults holding the hands of small children, well-dressed people I assumed were visiting their loved ones, and a few homeless people who pitched their tents right outside the jail. I wondered about each of their stories and what had brought them to this place. As I waited for the light to change so I could cross the street, I began to panic, wondering how in the world I had reached this point in my life. Part of me wanted to retreat to my car and forget about volunteering at the jail, but my tenacious spirit would never allow it. I could not back out of a commitment. Nothing would keep me from seeing these imprisoned women, not even my fears. So I crossed the street and looked up at the two tall buildings in front of me. I couldn't believe those buildings were home to the people our society considers the greatest sinners among us, or that God was calling me to get to know them and sit with them through their trauma healing journeys. But I walked into the jail and began the journey. After my identification was processed and cleared, I joined 2 other women volunteers as we made our way to the women's wing. When the second steel door slammed shut behind us, I knew there was no turning.